and welcome to Mayflower Spotlights Podcast with me, Zoe Hanson. In this episode, we're talking direction and Mayflower Southampton produced work. We're going to be chatting to Jonathan Kiley, the director of the 2025 Mayflower Theatre pantomime, The Pantomime Adventures of Peter Pan.
Panto, fights, crocodiles, flying, it's got everything. And tons of comedy.
What more do you need?
It's perfect.
We meet Jacquelyn Ockwell, director of A Christmas Carol at Mayflower Studios.
Over the next few days, we're going to watch this grow and we're going to have something that we can harvest very, very soon.
And we're catching up with Sara Scott, Mayflower's creative director, on what you can expect from Mayflower Made Productions.
Groove, and it's like, how do we make this show the best it can be night in, night out?
Welcome to Mayflower Spotlights Podcast. It's brilliant to have you along. Mayflower Theatre, the panto is always spectacular.
Well, we're lucky that this is a big venue and it can take the big sets. So it's on the Palladium circuit now. So the Palladium shows go to Birmingham and then come down here because there aren't many theatres that are big enough to take the massive sets and costumes that are made every year new for the Palladium. But I'm very fond, and I came as an actor. I toured here a lot with shows to Southampton. I love the theatre, and I've done so much here. The last show I directed here was 12:13, which was Lee Mead's first pantomime with Julian Clary, Nigel Havers.
I remember it.
Jack and the Beanstalk, I think it was, and. It was, brilliant and great fun, and that started Lee's career in Pantoland, which has lasted a long time. And lovely guy, and so I haven't been here for a while, which is strange, but I'm so thrilled to be back, and we've got a great company this year, brilliant company, and Peter Pan's a special one to me. Because when I was 14, it was my first job at the London Coliseum.
Wow. With
Ron Moody playing Captain Hook and Dorothy Tewton, a very famous actress, playing Peter Pan. And it was in London, it was an institution. Every year, Peter Pan, the big production of Peter Pan, the Robert Helpman production was in London. And it was kind of the go-to show, and the Palladium pantomime, of course, came along a bit later. But every great actor in the country played Hook in Peter Pan and Peter Pan. And so it was an institution in London for years, and I was lucky to come in on the end of its life in London. But doing that amazing production of Peter Pan, it always holds a very special place in my heart, Peter Pan. It's a great story. And every child wants to be Hook, Peter Pan or Tinkerbell.
Right.
They do, and they play, don't they? And it is a great story. And so it's always a fun one to do because it's got all the magical ingredients of a panto, fights, crocodiles, flying, it's got everything. And tons of comedy.
What more do you need?
It's perfect.
What's the story that you sort of lunch out on? What's your favourite panto story?
There were so many. I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of the great people, about Les Dawson, people like that. For years, I directed his shows, and comedy legends I've been lucky to work with. One of the greatest, I suppose, pantomimes for me was Birmingham with Joan Collins, doing her one and only pantomime, playing Queen Rat in Dick Whittington.
Wow.
And which was quite extraordinary. We also had Nigel Havers in the show, playing King Rat. And so it was Mr. and Mrs. in the show, and Julian Clary. And that's where, of course, Julian Clary, who had the Joan Collins fan club, got to work with Joan, of course.
Wow.
And now they've become the best of buddies, of course. And they have card nights. They all go around to each other's houses in London and play cards and things. And Julian and Joan have become great mates, of course. And so in that show, we had Joan Collins, Nigel Havers, Keith Harrison Orville, and I remember sitting in rehearsals going, we're all a bit starstruck. We've got Keith Harrison Orville, which is unbelievable because we've been brought up with So You Think You Can Fly. Legend, hilarious. Just extraordinary. And you've got Joan Collins, and we're all going, oh my God, this is quite extraordinary. But aren't we lucky to work with these great people? And Joan had a good time, but, panto's tough. It's really hard work, and people don't realise the stamina required. And Joan was, late 70s when she did that. It was extraordinary, but she was fabulous. And So that was kind of a thing I dine out on a lot. And but I've just been really lucky to work with great people in pantomime and great comics. And panto's all about comedy. It's so important, the comedy in pantomime.
Absolutely. It threads it all together, doesn't it?
People want to laugh.
Mayflower Theatre, Adventures of Peter Pan, this year, what can we expect from that?
Well, all the ingredients of the original Peter Pan, but this is kind of the next volume of Peter Pan, where Peter gets Wendy back to Neverland because the Neverland Pixie Waterfall is running dry and Peter's losing his powers to fly. So they've got to get there before Captain Hook. And Captain Hook returns to Neverland to try and finish Peter Pan off again.
Oh.
So there's still the juxtaposition of the good and evil thing with Peter, and it's the race to the waterfall, because if Peter doesn't get there and restore his flight ability, he's kind of finished, and she wants to stop him. So there's the biggest crocodile you've ever seen in Pantoland, that was at the Palladium, towards the end of that one, that goes for Captain Hook again. Hopefully she'll escape. And so we've got flying, we've got fight. You've got all the ingredients of the original Peter Pan, but it's a slightly different twist on it, but with all the same kind of things in it. And Tinkerbell loses her wings. Captain Hook has another go and cuts her wings off again.
Oh.
So she can't fly, but then with the help of the audience, we get the wings back, and so she flies around a bit. So it's got, I say, all the original ingredients of Peter Pan with a sort of more modern story. And of course, Alexandra Burke is a brilliant baddie, of course. She did her first baddie at the Palladium, and as Mrs. Blunderbore. And also I did Alex's first pantomime in Manchester. She'd always been a bit wary of it and wasn't quite sure. So I directed her first panto as Scheherazade in Aladdin, and we had the best time at the Opera House, and she fell in love with pantomime, as you do when you do it properly. And you have 2,000 people screaming and laughing and crying and following the story, and you've got all these beautiful costumes, and she's doing all her songs, of course, which she'll do in this show, and all her great hits, which of course are great numbers and perfect for panto. So she's a great panto artist, and playing baddies for her is a bit of a new thing, but she's got into it, and they're great roles. To have the audience screaming at you and shouting and be able to play with the audience, and everyone loves a bit of ad-libbing. And so we've got great comedy in Max Fulham, which is really important. Max is just a brilliant ventriloquist, a very funny boy. Alex doing her great numbers, being an absolute stalwart of pantomime now, and great West End artists playing Peter Pan and Wendy and Tinkerbell, and Carly, who's playing Tinkerbell. This is her second time. She did a production I did with David Suchet. Well, there's another one. I eventually got David Suchet to do...
I keep saying wow in this, and you're thinking, oh,
well,
stop.
I was doing wow as well, because to have David Suchet, and I've been trying to get him for years, and then suddenly, 2 years ago, he'd sold his boat that was on the Thames, and he was living near family in Wiltshire. And I said to his agent, any chance of David doing Bristol playing Captain Hook and Peter Pan? And he said, well, actually this year he lives 40 minutes away, so you've got a chance, because he doesn't want to be too far away from the family. And I said, really? He said, yeah, he'll do it. Well, I couldn't believe it. So to work with David Suchet, and David had waited 58 years to give his Captain Hook. He's 78.
Did he love it?
He had, after the first matinee, he was in his dressing room in tears and said, Jonathan, thank you. I've had the best experience of my life. And it's interesting. He and Faye Tozer and Andy Ford, the comic, have remained the best of friends. And David last year went to Plymouth to see Andy Ford. He went to Woking to see Faye Tozer in pantomime. I knew that David wouldn't do it again. I knew it was a one-off. It had an amazing cast, and David said, I've peaked. I've done what I wanted to do. And his wife, Sheila, was a fairy in pantomime in Coventry in the 70s. And so there was a connection there, and he'd always loved it. But he had the best time. He did all the warm-ups. He did the vocal warm-ups with the company, the physical warm-ups. Every show completely on it. And of course, at the end of the show, we did a transformation into Poirot. So it was actually Poirot who disguised himself as Captain Hook. So we did the whole thing, and the wig came off, and the Poirot outfit came on, and you could hear a pin drop. He did the little walk down stage and then spoke as Poirot does. And it was just the magic of pantomime. It was extraordinary. But David, the most wonderful gentleman of the theatre, And he was wonderful doing all the fights and everything. And we did a comedy routine when he tripped over every show and fell over on the floor. David Suchet, 78 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, I'm just very lucky to have worked with these great, great people, and I had the best of time. And also given them something very special in their lives, and other people. People who work for us, we're very loyal to our family of panto artists who come back year after year. And the people that get it right and stay with us for years, friendships are made in panto land that last forever.
Well, of course, because they become your family during that month, don't they?
And you're in the theatre, you're doing twice a day. So you're in the theatre from midday, doing a warm-up.
You don't see your actual family.
No, you don't. You don't leave till 10 o'clock. You go home, sleep, and you're back in for the next day. And it's 6 days a week. And so you are living. So it's very important for me to find lovely people that's all going to get on with, and everybody gets on. And has a lovely time. And the people that get it, and it's interesting, the new people like Alex who come into pantomime and they go, this is fantastic fun.
Yeah.
And it's the last bastion of variety.
Right?
Well, it's work,
Wow.
which everybody needs, but it's the last bastion of variety, glamorous spectacle variety in this country. And we're hanging on to it. And comedy, and people want to laugh more than ever they want to laugh.
Absolutely.
They want a great story, they want to laugh, they want to see great celebrities who can really do it and who are really talented. And we're very lucky. And Jason Manford's joined us, and he loves it. So he's been going back to Manchester for 3 or 4 years now, but he loves it because he's an old pro, like the Shane Richards and all those people. They all get it. And Shane's back this year with us, but they all love it. They all genuinely love it because it's where they all started. Yes. They all started working with all those great people, and Shane goes back years. He's worked with all the greats.
Is there someone that you think, I really want you? Is there who's the performer that you think, I would love to have you in one of my shows?
Well, we always wanted Donny Osmond, and we got Donny Osmond. The COVID year at the Palladium, we got Donny Osmond. We've always wanted to get Donny because, again, Donny is a showman. Yeah. One of the greatest showmen. And we've all been brought up with the Osmonds. I mean, legendary. And, of course, Jimmy Osmond worked with us for years before Donny. And Jimmy's a lovely, lovely man. He did quite a few pantos for us, and I produced those shows with him. Charming man. And of course you're doing those songs and you're going, this is my childhood. All these songs and all the arrangements, and I'm going, this is just fantastic. Anyway, and then we got Donny, and Donny was just, and every time Donny's over here at Christmas now, if he's doing a gig, he'll pop in and say, can I come in, because he's great friends with Julian Clary, and he goes on stage and the audience is going, oh my God, it's Donny Osmond. And they do a little bit of chat together and things, and that was amazing. The only other person we would love to get is Kylie Minogue, I suppose. We've always wanted to get Kylie into panto.
Wow.
She'd be fantastic, wouldn't
she?
She'd just be, but we've been so lucky because we've got Dawn French into panto, we've got Jennifer Saunders into panto. So a lot of the people that we wanted to get into panto, we've actually managed to do it.
That's wonderful.
So we're very lucky. But the Palladium has kind of upped the ante in as much as people go and see an amazing spectacle.
Yes.
It's the biggest selling show in London now, and in its 10th year this year. And it's become a legend in London, and because people know they're going to get a brand new set costumes, amazing stars, laugh for 2.5 hours, literally rolling in the aisles, and Julian Clary has become an institution at the Palladium.
Right.
Quite rightly so too.
I could just interview you just sit and chat to you for hours and hours and hours. Thank you so much.
No, but it's a joy to be back in Southampton. I'm really excited, and we've got an awesome company. I'm very excited.
I'm so pleased that you're here. Can you just introduce yourself for me?
Yes, I can. So I'm Jacquelyn Ockwell, and I work at Mayflower Theatre as a freelancer. So I come in and work when they want me.
Yeah. And what do you do here? So you come in, and what's your role?
So my role is twofold, actually, because I work as a director and I also work as a writer, working predominantly with the young people that they engage and give experiences to.
Okay. So how do you get involved in that then? Do you write the show and then come in and say, okay,
give me some people to perform.
No, so with Mayflower, and it's not the same everywhere, but with Mayflower Theatre, we'll go into a conversation about what it is that they would like to put onto their stage.
Yeah.
So for Mayflower, I do the Christmas youth production. So we'll talk about what the title would be. So for the past few years, we have taken classics and adapted them onto the stage. And so through conversations with the producers of those shows, we have come up with the titles of A Christmas Carol, The Wind in the Willows, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and Peter Pan. And the one that we're working on at the moment is A Christmas Carol.
Okay. So talk to me about that. How does it come about? So you know that it's A Christmas Carol, and then you rewrite that story, or?
So I will know that it's A Christmas Carol. We know that it's a really loved story. I'll know that I'm writing it for young people. Mm-hmm. And I'll know that I'm writing it for about 50 young people. So my approach will be, first of all, coming from the point of view of how am I going to tell this story for people who absolutely love the traditional element of this story, but also how do I engage 50 young people and keep their story relevant as well? Mm-hmm. This is a timeless story that applies to today as much as it did as when it was written, unfortunately. Let's give the voice of young people of today into this Christmas Carol as well. So that was my approach this time round, because Mayflower have asked that it has modern music in it.
Right.
So
how modern?
Oh, it has absolutely. So it's got Avicii's The Nights in it.
Oh yeah.
It's got all sorts and lots of traditional Christmas songs as well, but pop songs, versions of Christmas pop songs as well. So they come in, and so I weave. How am I going to tell this story with using the young people? So I have threaded two stories together to create this Christmas Carol that we are putting on this Christmas.
And then how does it work? And how do you feel about working with a youth company?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love everything about the young people. I love working with them. I love what they bring. I love the fact that it is always an organic process where they are keen to learn. Yeah. They are keen to input. I know the project that I've got. I know the play and the story that I want to tell, and we all respect that. But I love embracing their thoughts. Sometimes they might say something like, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
So how would you say that? But also, I'm also teaching them this is how they used to say things. So with A Christmas Carol in particular, we've got kind of the modern way of speaking now, but we've also got Dickens language. So it's kind of marrying those two together. Yeah. And they're quite fascinated by discovering all of that as well. But working with them, I love everything about what we do creatively, but also what we do holistically, everything else that comes with being part of a creative project.
And it becomes a team, I suppose.
Yeah. And almost, I don't know, it's a phrase that we use, and sometimes you can mock it if you like, but you really do become a family. Yeah. Because you're growing something together. Yes. I sometimes talk to them about, it's like, do you know when you grow cress on the window ledge? Yeah, yeah. And I say, right, so we're going to plant the seeds now, and then together, because that's the fastest growing thing, isn't it? And together over the next few weeks, or with the summer youth projects, over the next few days, we're going to watch this grow, and we're going to have something that we can harvest very, very soon.
When you talk about it becoming a community, how quickly do you is there an audition process for these people? And what are their ages as well?
So the ages are 11 to 18-year-olds. And there is an audition process. It's an audition process that is made as easy for them as possible, so that any barriers that they might have, we try to remove. Yeah. So there will be opportunities to find out as much as you can beforehand, and all the information that you need is sent out beforehand. All of the songs, all of the things you need to learn are sent out beforehand, so you can prepare. And then on the day also, they're all individuals. We respond to them individually so that we can get the best out of them. Mm-hmm. But they sign up, they come along. Hundreds and hundreds of them. It's fantastic. The appeal of performing on in a show that is produced by Mayflower Theatre or Mayflower Studios, you know that you are going to get a level of professionalism that is just incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
I was talking this morning, I was talking to a cast member from this year's Summer Youth Project, and I was talking to him about his experience and what he's done all over the city, being involved in various things. But the feeling of being on Mayflower Theatre stage was just immense, and the feeling of being at Mayflower Studios, working with all the professional team and seeing how many people are involved, that's the thing that he was just saying. It was just something I'm holding on to, and the fact that we attract people from all over, so you're mixing with such a mixture of people and they've all got their own journeys to arrive with us, and then they make friends, and then it continues and it continues for years and years, and even there's a little story, but I was in a taxi the other day talking to the taxi driver, and he was in his 50s like me, and I told him what I did, and he told me this whole story about when he was 8 and he participated in youth theatre, and he told me some of the lines he had and everything.
That's amazing.
It is an investment in people forever. And that's why I love it, because you know that you're doing something that's profound.
Because I suppose it transcends the stage, the performance bit, the building of a community, the building of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is something that you can take all the way through your life.
Absolutely, you can, and also it ripples through families.
Mm-hmm.
So you have somebody involved in something and they are really enjoying it, and then you're supporting them. So you're feeding off that enjoyment, and then you're getting excited, and then when you go to it, you get the pride of being part of it. Even if you have made sure they turn up on time, you're there supporting. So that is something that is, it's. They say there is in the dictionary it says. A definition of art, it just says art is intrinsic to a happy life. And I really think that it's true that being a part of something creative, it just feeds your soul. And what we do is they're part of a show. Not all of them want to be performers, but they are there because they love what they do at the time, and then they realise that all of these skills are transferable. They're taking off things, the communication, the confidence to be in front of people, and looking around at all the other opportunities there are to be creative in a theatre in other ways.
So this is not just performing. This is, I don't know, backstage, technical.
Absolutely. So Mayflower offer production arts, and young people can get involved in that. So you would become part of the crew. Yeah. And as you know, every time you come to the theatre, there is so many people that you don't see who are making that show happen. And young people get to take on those roles, whether it be working with the props, whether it be working with sound, whether it be shadowing people in wardrobe. All of those jobs are there. And actually, those are the jobs that we really need people at the moment to start learning in theatre. If you want to be involved in theatre and working in theatre, that is a really, really good way to keep working.
What kind of impact does this have on young people? Why should they get involved?
The impact on young people is unique to every single person, but the one thing that is definitely the same is that it is hugely positive. It is. You'll see some people who will arrive on the first day of rehearsals, and I can see them, and I can see that they're making choices to stand at the edge, and I can see that they will use the wall for support, and I'll see that they are looking around thinking, am I going to get to know people? Am I going to make friends? And each day, and with the encouragement of everybody that's involved from the participation team here at Mayflower, everybody is encouraged, and slowly they grow and they start to talk to one another. They get to know each other. Those are the people who come, who are there for an experience that develops them personally on a social level. Yeah. The people who come who want to participate for a performer level, well, then they get to experience something that is amazing because they get to work with such an incredible creative team. They get to work with Olivier nominees. They get to work with professionals in the industry who will take their skills and enhance them. And some of these young people are phenomenal already. It's a privilege working with them.
Do you spot people and think, oh my goodness, yes, you are so uber talented?
Yes.
I can't wait to see how your career goes.
Yes, absolutely. And there are so many success stories that have come from participating.
Give us a couple.
So I've been talking to people. This is great timing. I've been talking to people only this morning. So Rebecca Thompson-Fierry was performing in Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief musical with us, and she was also Hook in Peter Pan with us. And I've just been able to arrange some work with her, that she's going to do with me in October. And after that, she is then going to be performing in the pantomime at Winchester Theatre Royal, professionally performing. We've got Jordan Cambridge Taylor, who was also actually in Peter Pan on a different year. He's in the West End performing in shows. It's one of the most exciting things is when people like Georgia Carr and Sadie, who were part of Guys and Dolls and other previous productions, come back to Mayflower professionally on tour.
Yeah.
And we get to see that they not only have they gone, they've trained, they've got work, they're on a #1 tour coming to this venue. And
how does that make you feel, Jacquelyn?
Well, do you know what? It's fantastic because you see them and you think it's happened. They've gone through, because this is tough. This, the chances, the chances of working are tiny, but they've done it. They've got it. There they are working. And Mayflower, I've got to say, I worked as an actress for many years and toured the UK. I never got to actually perform on the Mayflower stage. So I watched them. I'm like, yes,
I might know someone.
It's brilliant.
Sara Scott from Mayflower. Can you tell us what your role is, Sara?
No, absolutely. So really excited to be here today. And so my role is creative director. So I work across Mayflower, across both of our venues, and look after all things creative. So I oversee our programming work, our producing teams, and also our participation work as well. So I take care of that and ensure that we're delivering the most exciting creative output for the region.
But when you say that, I don't get it. When you say about you're across the creative teams, are these people that are putting the dances together, that are writing the scripts?
No, absolutely. So it's a mixture, really. So we have these 3 different areas. So with participation, I think that's a bit cleaner to understand. So that's all the work that gets other people involved with us. So whether that's a young person taking part in a production or whether a member of the community coming along to one of our Q&As after a show. So that's what participation is. But then the 2 different areas are programming and producing. So with programming, that's when we're working with other companies that have already created a piece of work. So they're touring a show and it comes to our venues. So the vast majority of what we do here is we bring those shows to the area. So, it will be English National Ballet bringing in their show or Mary Poppins coming along. So that's a show that's on tour, it's going all around the country, and it comes to us as part of that. So our programming team look after that. So they're always on the lookout for the best, most exciting work, whether that's at the biggest scale, going into the main theatre, or whether it's at the smallest scale, a like new experimental tiny piece going into Studio 2 here at the studios. So that's all of the programming work. And then the other element is producing, which is exactly more as you described. That will be when we're working with the people that have written the script or are choreographing a new show or, employing directors, actors, all of those people. So, it's those 3 different areas. And what we're trying to do is make something that all links together really nicely and gets the best opportunity to come and see great things at our venues, really.
And I suppose that's just one thing that Mayflower produces. Tell us about some other shows that have been in production here at Mayflower.
So one of the big things that we do here at Mayflower is we go really big on producing youth shows. So every summer and every Christmas we do a youth production, and that happens year in, year out, and it's an amazing opportunity because we use a fully professional creative team but with a youth company. It's a very sort of special occasion, if you like, and that so this summer we've just done productions of Grease, so that wonderful crowd pleasing classic. A real period piece now, actually. So it's got kind of...
I mean, are we really calling it that?
Yeah, I think we're going to call it that.
We can say that it's period, but actually it's timeless, isn't it, Grace?
Yeah, completely. And the music of the piece, that is what carries it, and I think often people will come to Grease and think, I might know one or two songs. You know all of the songs. They are absolutely incredible. So that's a really good example. This last summer we did a production of that with 150 young people on the main theatre stage. So incredible experience. But at the same time, just before that in the summer, we did a project called The Last Rose of Summer, where we had 50 young people perform a brand new piece, all about Jane Austen and her connection to the city. So I think those sorts of things, those kind of productions are really really special for us at Mayflower, and the creative teams absolutely love to work on those shows. They're so exciting. There's something really energising about working with a company of young people we're sort of fighting them off to get opportunities to work on those. So it's always good.
So we've mentioned about the summer productions, but there's also the Christmas productions as well. Absolutely. And I've been along to a couple of these, and they are extraordinary. They are incredible performers, and you can't believe their age or that they are, just amateur. So how does it make those young people feel? Do you think that they come off quite sort of energised and enthused about theatre?
Absolutely. I think that experience of being a company, it's extraordinary, really, and it's akin to team sport and things of that nature, where you have that sense that we're all here for it together. And so that begins from that very first read through, and then they meet as a company sort of weekly to rehearse. So that's how that rehearsal schedule pans out. So it means that over time they really develop those friendships, they learn from each other, because as you say, the age range is 11 to 18. So there's a really lovely thing that happens very naturally around the older ones mentoring the younger ones, and kind of the younger ones aspiring to those future roles and those future opportunities within the company. So
but I suppose it's a bigger thing than a stage production. It's a bigger thing than a show, isn't it? It's a learning and it's a growing, I suppose.
Absolutely. And I think what's really unique for young people taking part in our Christmas production is the number of performances. Because, typically a young person, when they take part in a show, they'll get to perform once, twice, 3 times maybe. But when you do one of our Christmas productions, you get to perform 10, 11, 12, 13 times. So that really creates that sense of a company, a family that are working together, because it passes the sense of, get the show on and what's that going to be. That passes and it gets into a groove, and it's like, how do we make this show the best it can be night in, night out? And for those that have ambitions to do this professionally, that is such an invaluable experience, because that's different. That's a different thing to just getting a show on. But they form bonds and friendship of, the friendship groups that just last way beyond. And they come back. What's lovely is we always have a cohort of alumni coming back to see the shows when they've moved on, and they're off either doing something completely different, or they're off training, or those sorts of things. But they really support each other, which is just wonderful to see.
Tell me about some other shows that have been produced here. The one that I think of is Greatest Women in the World Ever.
Yeah, so Fantastically Great Women, yes.
Fantastically Great Women, that's the one.
So that was a co-production with us. So that's another arm of what we do, and it's a really significant arm actually, and that's common across the industry now. So gone are the days where regional theatres would just produce, a dozen shows a year themselves, and that worked as a model. That doesn't really work anymore. We have to work in partnership. So typically, 3 or 4 different venues venues will come together and co-produce something.
Okay.
And so one organisation will take on the role of lead producer, so that's where the work is made and originates from, but then others will come in and they'll invest money in it and they'll programme it as well. So that's an example of that, where we supported that production, but it went on and the lead producing sat elsewhere and it went off and it toured elsewhere. And there's lots of shows that we do like that. So we work really closely with some of our associate companies on co-producing. So for example, Frantic Assembly, who brought us Metamorphosis last year, we were a co-producer on that, and they're bringing Lost Atoms this year, which we're again co-producing with. Also Tangle, which is a wonderful theatre company that we work in association with. They are opening their show Julius Caesar here, so they do reimaginings with small companies of the classic stories kind of thing. So yeah, so there are a number of and also Opera Up Close. I kind of look this way because they're in the office next door to where we are right now, and they Opera Up Close are a small scale opera company, really doing exciting, interesting innovation in the world of opera, which is not always the terms you use together, innovation and opera, right? But they're doing that, and we support them as a co-producer. So they originate their productions from here. We give them space and time to work on the shows, invest in them financially, and support them as they then go on out on tour around the region as well. So yeah, lots of different ways that we support the producing work beyond being the central producer ourselves as well.
So what productions are you currently working on? Is there anything going on right now?
Yeah, so we've just, we're in the sort of pre-production phase really for Counting Down to Christmas, which will be our Studio 2 piece this Christmas. So anyone that's seen any of those pieces before, they are absolutely charming. So it's the same writer who has worked on a number of shows for us previously, Victoria Briggs, and she has written Counting Down to Christmas. So it's a 0 to 5s plus their families. So it's a really lovely, intimate, charming piece about how we all anticipate Christmas, right? How we all get excited and look forward to it. And so that's really told from a child's perspective, but also the sense of community that we can sustain all year round around Christmas. So that will be in our Studio 2 space, which is really lovely and intimate. And, families can sit on chairs, but they can also sit round together with their children on the floor, and all the pieces. There's lovely, charming original songs in there as well. So yeah, the young people all get involved, the children sort of singing and dancing along and things. And yeah, that's always really exciting. I feel like we always talk about Christmas here. Yeah. It's just like the perennial thing we're always working on. So it's always quite exciting when it starts to turn a bit autumnal and it's like, we actually have Christmas coming,
And we're allowed.
Yeah, it's like everyone else wants to talk about it too. So yeah.
And then in the future, so past Counting Down to Christmas, what other productions will be coming up?
So next year we're working on, so we'll have our summer production again next year, but because we're doing the building work over at the theatre, we'll be hosting our summer youth production here. We've got another piece in development as well that we're hoping to finalise for a tour and a production next autumn. And in the future, we're also looking at producing on the larger scale. Okay. So at the moment, all of our producing work has been done more on the smaller mid scale, we call it. But we have a centenary in the looming in the next few years. So we're working already on what we might do around producing a large scale piece, fully professional company into our main stage at the theatre for that. So yeah, lots of things in development, in process and progress. So all sorts to look forward to.
Perfect.
So that's curtain down on another episode. Thanks for listening. Next episode's guests, well, who knows what the future holds. To be the first to know, make sure you're following us on our social media, and we look forward to welcoming you to Mayflower venues soon. Mayflower Spotlights Podcast is presented and produced by me, Zoe Hanson, the podcast lady.